Hey Math 1 students, welcome back. We're going to start our new unit today. So the first thing we're going to do, it's a little geometry. So I want you to look at these examples where these are congruent and these are not congruent. And I want you to think about what do you think congruent means? So come up with your own idea. So maybe take 10 seconds to think about that and come up with your own idea. So what congruent means, all these on the left, is all of these are the same shape and the same size. Not congruent means they're different shape or a different size. For example, these two are different shapes. The hearts are the same shape but different sizes. So that's our idea of congruence, which is going to be key as we go through this. So writing this down in your notes, when two shapes are congruent, that means they are the same shape and the same size. So put that in your notes. If you need to pause the video to write that down, please feel free to do that. So as we move forward, we have this thing called correspond, this word called corresponds. So it says what angle corresponds to angle G. So angle G is this angle right here. So if we look at the other triangle, angle G is between 8 and 10, so angle G would correspond to angle R because that's also between 8 and 10. And then it says what side corresponds to side RF. So RF goes there. So RF is the side that's 8 and it starts at that angle R, so we're going to go from G to P. RF corresponds to GP. Those are related since these triangles are congruent. So here's some examples of some translations where you see the birds there. It's just kind of slid the same shape in each of those, and it's also in the opposite direction. We also have honeycombs in a beehive. We have the scales on the snake are translations. All of these are the same shape, just moved around. We have these shape on a pineapple right there. You can see all those shapes are translations. So you need some graph paper for this, and what we're going to do is we're going to graph this point, or this shape nice. So it's negative 4, 4, that's N. We have negative 4, 2, I, negative 1, 2, C, and negative 2, 4, E. So we have this shape nice, and that's actually a trapezoid there. And it says translate at 5 units right and 6 units down. So to do this, we're just going to let's start with maybe point C. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. And the way we label that is a C with like a parentheses above it. So we're going to do that for the other points. 5 right, 6 down. 5 right, 6 down. 5 right, 6 down. And we get this shape down here. And I'm going to label E prime, we call it. N prime. I prime. So you can see that those shapes are congruent. They're the same shape and the same size. We just slid it into that bottom right corner. So our new N is, it's 1 over, our X is 1, and it's down 2. Our new I is 1 over, down 4. Our new C is 4 over, down 4, and our new E is 3 over, down 2. So how do we get from negative 4 to 1? What are we doing there? How do we get from negative 4 to 1? How do we get from negative 1 to 4? How do we get from negative 2 to 3? So if this is X, what are we doing to get to 3 mathematically? Well, we're just doing X plus 5. You're adding 5 to the X. That's what that 5 units right means. And then our Y, from 4 to negative 2, 2 to negative 4, all of those, you have your Y, and down 6 means you're doing Y minus 6. So algebraically, you just take the X value and you add 5 to it. You take the Y value and you subtract 6 to it. So if we're going to continue with that idea, as we move on. So here we have a triangle, MIA, and we have point M is 3, 1, point I is 5, 2, and point A is 4, 4, 5. So we have a triangle right here. And it says connect the points to make the triangle. So we're going to move it 4 down and 5 left. So why don't you try that on your own? Pause the video, 4 down and 5 left, and try to record those coordinates. Unpause when you're ready. So here's what I got for the new triangle. And notice I labeled it M prime, I prime, and A prime because it's like the second point kind of. So check your work, and if you're good, let's move on. So this is asking what translation was made from P to Q. So now we have the translation, we have the diagram, and we want to find out what translation was made. So the translation is the same for all points. So let's just look at 1. How do we get from A here to A prime? Well, we go down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. So our translation there would be down 1 over 4. And you can see that that also works for C, and that also works for B. So all of this from P to Q is down 1 over 4. If you were going from Q to P, it would be up 1, left 4, or left 4, up 1. So for this next one, we only have the points. All we're given is the points. So what translation was made from R to S? Well, let's just look at point B. We go from x is 1 to x is 3. How do you get from, x is negative 1 to x is 3? How do you get from negative 1 to 3? What do you do? How do we get from 0 to 4? How do we get from negative 5 to 1? There's got to be some sort of pattern. So for all of these, we are adding 4 to the x value. And how do we get from 5 to 2, 3 to 0, and 7 to 4? What are we doing there? Well, for all of those, we're subtracting 3. So our translation is, well, 4 plus 4 on our x means 4 to the right, and 3 in the y means 3 units down. So you moved every point 4 units right and 3 units down. And if you didn't know, this is triangle bum. Thought that was fun. So now I just want you to think about the alphabet, and we're doing a line of reflection. So I want you to find how many of these letters in the alphabet have a line of reflection. So just an example, let's look at the letter X. The letter X has 2 lines of reflection. So pause the video, look at this alphabet, and try to see how many lines of reflection are there in the entire alphabet. Unpause when you've got your number, and I'll have mine too. So I had a total of 17. If you had something different and you're totally convinced you're right, comment on this lesson and tell me why I'm wrong. I'd be happy to argue with you about that. Alright, so now we're doing some reflections just to close out today. So we did translations, which was just sliding the shape around. Now we're going to do a reflection. So we're going to reflect the shape across the x-axis. So the x-axis is this line right here. Alright, so we're going to reflect. And how we do that is we go from A, we count 3 dots to the x-axis. So we're going to count 3 dots past the x-axis. We're going to continue with B. 5, 5. 3, and 5. And so we get this shape down there. And let's make sure we're labeling it right. We have A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. So let's get the new coordinates for this. So our first one, A, is back 6, down 3. B would be back 4, down 5. C would be back 2, down 5. And D would be back 2, down 3. So what pattern do you see from our original to our new one? What pattern holds true for all of these points? So take some time to think about that. So what you might have noticed is our y value goes from 3 to negative 3, 5 to negative 5, 5 to negative 5, and 3 to negative 3. So if we have x here, our x is negative 2, our x stays the same, but our y becomes negative y. So our y value is flipping when we go across the x-axis. So you kind of got to remember that it's opposite. Now we're going to reflect it across the y-axis. So our y-axis is the vertical one. Just remember there's a little alien up here and you're like, wait, why is that dude up there? Get it, y-axis, okay. I'll stop. 2 to the y-axis, 2 past it. 2 to the y-axis, 2 past it. 4, 4, 6, 6. There you go. So let's make sure we label it C prime, B prime, D prime, A prime. So our new one is, our new A is over 6 up 3. Our new B is over 4 up 5. Our new C is over 2 up 5. Our new D is over 2 up 3. So if you can see a pattern there, or look for one, what you see, what you find out is our x value going from negative 6 to 6, our x value is flipping the sign. Our y value is staying the same here. So when you go across the y-axis, the x value flips, and when you go across the x-axis, the y value flips. All right, so here's your homework. You're going to graph cow, and what you're going to do is you're going to first translate cow 2 units left and 1 unit up, and then you're going to reflect cow over the x-axis. And when you're reflecting it over the x-axis, this actually should say C prime, O prime, W prime. You're going to reflect that new one you made after you moved it. You reflect that shape over the x-axis. And so this is what you need to upload a picture of to close out our week.